Well, hello. This is welcome to Prophecy Montana. My name is Kerry. I'll be your host today. And today I'd like to talk about the mark of the beast. And, you know, there's the first thing I want to say right off the top is 666 is not the mark of the beast. And to show you what I mean by that, let's go to the Bible here in Revelations. Let's go to Revelations and chapter 13. And at the end of the chapter, it says um, in verse 17, let's start with that, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So the mark of the beast and the number of the man, there are two different things. Now, in order to even figure out what any of this stuff means, Revelation is full of symbolism, and you can get real bogged down if you don't have a way to interpret those symbols. And the best way to interpret those symbols is in the book of Daniel. And really, for Bible prophecy, that's where you have to begin. You have to begin in the book of Daniel if you want to understand these last day events that we're experiencing right now. And so let's turn to Daniel. And we're going to begin in chapter 2 of Daniel. And okay, so you're going to want to read chapter 2 of Daniel. And in chapter 2, I'm just going to summarize it really quick because I want to make this video as short as possible. But in Daniel chapter 2, Nebuchadnezzar dreams a dream, and he wakes up the following day, and he wants to know what this dream means. And so he calls all of the magicians and all the astrologers and all the wise men to help him try to understand this dream. But he has a prerequisite for these people. He says, listen, he says, I want you to tell me what the dream is first. And of course, everybody objects and they say, no, I mean, you're asking way too much of us, Nebuchadnezzar, O king, because no one can tell you what the dream is. Well, he figures, well, if you can't tell me what the dream is, you're not going to be able to tell me the interpretation. So he says, all right, kill them all. They're worthless. Well, news gets to Daniel that all the wise men were going to be killed, and he's one of the wise men. So Daniel says, wait. Give me a day. Me and my friends, we're going to pray, and we're going to figure this out. So Daniel prays. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they pray. Daniel has a dream. It's the identical dream that Nebuchadnezzar has. And so he says, take me before the king. I have the interpretation. So the chief of the eunuchs takes Daniel to the king. And Daniel tells him the meaning of this. He tells him the dream first, and then he tells him the meaning. And the dream was this, that there was a great statue, and it had a head of gold and a chest of arm of silver. The chest and arms were of silver. The thighs were of brass, the legs were of iron, and the feet were of iron and clay. And a rock that was cut without hands came and smashed him and smote it on its feet and broke it into pieces. And Daniel begins to interpret this dream after he tells the king what the dream was. And so he says, you, O king, are that head of gold. And but after thee is going to arise a nation inferior to thee, and which was represented by the chest and arms of silver. And in the thighs of brass were another kingdom, and the legs of iron was another kingdom still, and the feet of iron and clay was yet another kingdom. And so if you use the historical formula for understanding prophecy, the formula that almost every single Protestant reformer in the history of the earth used, to interpret prophecy, you're going to easily come across the conclusions of how to understand Bible prophecy. You're going to be able to figure out prophecy pretty quickly. And here's the key. The key is nothing new, only more detail. And what do I mean by that? Well, when the Bible is written in a chiastic structure. All right, look that up on Google. In fact, if you look it up on Wikipedia, it actually even mentions the Bible being written in a chiastic structure. And I guess the way much of the Bible was written was what you would call a broken chiastic structure. Anyways, basically it tells a story and then it goes back and then it starts to tell the story again. A true chiastic structure would have a peak in a valley and a peak in a valley. So it would go up and down in through the story. But anyways, in the Bible, it'll tell a story and it'll get to a point. It'll stop and then it'll begin to retell the story again and get to a little further point with more detail, and then it begins to tell the story again. And this is how most prophecy is written and how it's all can be understood by understanding how it was written in the beginning in the first place. And so you take this chiastic structure, Daniel 2. See, Daniel has another vision in Daniel chapter 7, and he sees 4 beasts. Now here's where the first mention of a beast comes into play, because remember, the statue was kingdoms, starting with Babylon. After thee would arise a nation inferior to thee, and then after that another nation, and then another nation. And so, but he has this vision of 4 beasts, and it's the first beast is a lion, the second is a bear, the third is a leopard with 4 wings, and the fourth is a nondescript beast, a dragon-like beast, if you will, with 10 horns. This beast had great iron teeth, the fourth beast we're talking about, and it had some other characteristics to it that can tie it in with the statue that the king dreamed, in which Daniel interpreted as being nations. And so if you read on after Daniel has that vision, then it's interpreted to him as being kingdoms upon the face of the earth. And, you know, it's pretty easy to figure out that the lion with the wings was was a national symbol of Babylon then and even today. I mean, you can dig up in the ruins of Babylon are many symbols of this lion. So in the interpretation, and I believe that's in chapter 8 of Daniel, I'll put the exact verse right here. Anyways, it gives you the definition of the dream. And those 4 beasts were to represent 4 nations, okay? So when we talk about the mark of the beast, you could interpret that as a mark of a nation, okay? And so anyways, the first beast was a lion with wings that would be represented as Babylon. The next was a bear. Now that bear and the chest of arms of silver would coincide because at a chiastic structure, it's given you nothing new, only more detail. So the second kingdom, Medo-Persia, the third, Greece, the fourth would be Rome. So anyways, these 4 beasts were 4 kingdoms, beginning with Babylon, then Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. Rome being represented by the terrible beast or the legs of iron. Now, when you get into the feet of the statue, there was a mixture of iron and clay. And that mixture was what many Bible theologians consider this day as modern Europe. So anyways, what did we learn? We learned that a beast in Bible prophecy is a nation or a kingdom, according to the Bible. The mark of the beast, I could tell you what it is. It would just wind up offending you at this point. You'd probably shut me off and call me a quack. But if I show you from the Bible, step by step, how we arrive at that conclusion, you'll have a little bit different understanding of the whole thing. Anyways, stick around for part 2 of this series coming up soon. Um, I don't know how many parts this is going to wind up being, but I want to cover it thoroughly, and I want people to be able to understand it in a perspective on how the Bible tells the story, and not just somebody's fanciful ideas on what they think the mark of the beast is. Please feel free to subscribe. Um, Give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.